Hi, I'm Noelle Hyman with paperclipping.com, and I'm here again with Tim, day
That's
two.
Right. Day two, but we're here for the Ranger VIP event.
The
You guys
Ranger
are VIP, morning access again.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah,
good, yeah,
2 days in a row, morning access.
It's always
awesome.
good. Yeah.
We're gonna get some demos by Tim with, I can see, Distress Paint and Distress Ink, the new minis.
Yep, and the new marker spritz are just kind of going through a little bit of all the new stuff here at Ranger.
All right,
It's
very
gonna be
cool.
good. I think the first one that's creating a lot of buzz, of course, are the Distress Minis. So these are mini one, I know, aren't they cute? They're mini 1x1 versions of the Distress. Some of the cool features, of course, it is a stackable case, so they will lock together. Also, it is the same raised felt pad that's in the regular Distress pad. So that's pretty cool, especially for people that like to do a lot of inking directly from the pad. Most of the mini pads are kind of recessed in the case. This is going to be raised. So in addition to the mini pads themselves, we've also, of course, released the mini blending tool. So what was important for this, for me, is I wanted a tool that I could really use with stencils. That was the biggest thing. As much as I love the blending tool, and I still use the blending tool, as you can see, I would use that for my backgrounds. When it comes to doing stencils or smaller kind of project, little intricate things, die cuts, chipboard alphabets, things like that, having this tool is really convenient. So a couple of things. Let me just grab some stencils here, take some layering stencils. So if I was going to take a stencil, let's say something with a heart, I can take the mini, and of course, mini tool fits the mini pad. We need that as well. So what's nice about this particular one is it does give me the ability to create more of a pouncing motion than creating that circular motion. You can still do the circular motion with this, but this one was really designed for that pouncing application without worrying about creating those harsh ink lines. And that's what you would get with this. If we were to pounce this, you would always get that square corner or the edge, exactly. So this really allows you to create, yeah, simple, anyone can do that. Now remember, the blending foam, washable and reusable. So it's really important when you're showing this to your customers and they go, oh, these little foams. It's like, yes, even if you have distressed paint on it that dries, you can still wash them afterwards, and then you can use them for other projects. So speaking of distress paint, we did release the remaining 13 colors of the distress paint, so now we've completed the palette of this paint. And once again, this paint is a multi-surface paint. It'll work on metal and glass and plastic and fabric. It doesn't require any mediums at all. It doesn't even require to be heat set, and it's permanent and washable. So it's really great for a lot of people that want to do mixed media work and they want to stamp or they want to watercolor on fabric, but it's also great for background. So let me show you from a stenciling aspect as well what we can do with this. It's hard for me to choose what stencil I always want to use. Okay, so let's go in with Craft, and let's take a color. I saved peacock feathers for this release because it's the color everybody wanted more. So I'm like, it's going to be the last one. Yeah. I really didn't do that. I choose my colors random. People don't know that, but I do. Whenever we do a new launch, like even something like this,
You just put them in the jar and go play.
I sort them by color group, and I'm like, okay, what's going to be the red this time? And I just like, how do you pick a favorite? It's like, of course I want Barn Door for this, or I want Festive Berries, or you want them all, but you have to limit yourself. So here I can take this, and same thing, I can go into that mini tool, and I can pick up my paint with this, and same thing. This is going to allow me the ability to go in even with paint and create that simple, easy, feathered look through a stencil. And I can move that around. And with this, of course, if I had multiple colors, I could use that to blend those colors as well. But it really creates that soft effect around it. It's really easy. That's the thing about it. And if you wanted to go in and use it with inks around the edges, you could still do that. So we can go in with our minis, or we can go in with the regular pads. And I always say it's kind of like the sports car. Like when you do this one, it's much quicker when you're going to go and do that. But again, this is better for smaller surfaces and not large backgrounds. It would take really a long time to ink a large background with the mini blending tool. All right. So far, so good. I know, people were excited. What's that?
Washing the blending tool
The foam, you can just wash it with soap and water.
of the paint. Was it dry? If it dries, is it gone?
No, even if it dries, you can wash it. Yeah, so you can wash these end of day. Yeah, which is nice. The blending foam is a weird foam. It really is. Even though we know that the paint would be permanent on every other surface, you can wash it afterwards. Stencils, though, you do want to clean it off while the paint is wet, if you care about that. I just normally wipe it off. If you get too much buildup on a stencil, you can always use rubbing alcohol. That will remove modeling paste, embossing paste, dried paint, anything from a stencil. Yeah, and rubbing alcohol is much safer than using like blending solution. You wouldn't want to use that. All right? Yeah. Yeah.
We still don't
It's
know
like,
what it is.
yeah, exactly. It's like scary. Okay, so some other exciting things. I'll talk just a little bit about some kind of rebrands in the Distress line. So the Distress embossing powders, we retired all of the other Distress embossing powders except for 3 of the originals, and we introduced a new one. And that is because really wanted to get the marketing message across that Distress embossing powders are more effect powders. Okay, these are not your standard embossing powders that you would use for wedding invitations or something like that. This is an effect powder. It creates a great texture. So what we've done is we've also labeled them to kind of call out the effect. So vintage photo is a rust effect. Antique linen is a stucco effect.
Clever idea.
See that? Pumice stone is a stone effect, and black soot is a charred effect. And let me hold up this board so you can see. Okay, let me just move the Stella out of the way. So here, big giant board in my face, you can see on the bottom the effect powders and how they really give that textured effect. So whether it's stucco or rust or charred or stone, it's a really great way that they can access to accent chipboard, canvas, anything like that. And I think this is really going to get a much better message across. So while I'm behind the board, look below. Also the Distress crackle paint. We have retired all the other crackle paints with the exception of clear rock candy. And the reason is with the launch of the Distress paint line, I didn't really feel the need for colored crackle paint anymore, because the rock candy is going to give you the versatility of doing something clear. If you put it on thick, it's going to give you big cracks. If you put it on thin, it's going to give you a crazing effect. You can stain through it, or you can paint over it to give it a complete opaque finish. So I just thought, why not just have one product? And more than that, we found that the shelf life of clear rock candy far outlasts the regular crackle paint because it doesn't have any colorant, it has no pigment in it. So it's not going to thicken up and harden up in there. So with that, we've got, of course, the large jar, and then we still did the smaller jar. So that's when people are like, what are you going to do with crackle paint? It's like, this is all you need now, because once you put it on the surface, you can go in like with your mini blending tools and you can blend that out, which is cool. All right. You know I'm saving this one.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like,
Dying
wait,
to see that one.
I know, it's like, talk about that. No, not yet. Okay, next we're gonna talk about alcohol inks. Alcohol inks, of course, super popular. It's been just a great staple line for Ranger. This is the first time in many, many years we've introduced new colors. Now, these new colors are very intense colors. If you have a chance to see the swatch board to my right, definitely check it out so you can see those really harsh pops of color like the indigo, the botanical. You know, when you see those colors, these really complement those earth tones and the brights that were already in the line, but they're a much richer color, so they're going to allow mixed media artists to create much more layered effects with the palette than ever before. In addition to that, we've completely revamped all the packaging. Got rid of that dated mountain and that weird little scripty thing, and got rid of the beige background and made it white, and put those color header on the top and bottom, and just gave it what I consider like a current look, a relevant look. So an artist would take that seriously, a crafter would not be intimidated by it. You know, because you look at the other ones, you're like, oh, I don't know, am I gonna even use this? Then of course, like even with the blending solution, made it simple for what it is. It's just blending solution. It's designed to really blend these colors. And then of course with our fillable pen, we've gone and rebranded this as a blending pen, because I think the fillable pen was also misleading, where people think, oh, I need to fill it with all my colors of alcohol ink, but you don't. The idea is that you fill this pen with blending solution. So it's a dual tipped pen. It has a fine tip. It also has a brush tip. These nibs you simply pull out of the top, and then you could take your blending solution and squeeze inside. There's a fabric in there that holds that liquid so it doesn't dry out in the pen. Also, when you do that, the caps are airtight, so when you store this, this is going to stay wet for months until you use it up actually, and then you can just go back in and refill it. And what this does is this allows me to colorize with my alcohol ink. So instead of doing all the backgrounds, let's say I had, let's see if I have just a surface, I had gloss paper, or maybe I had a charmer, an embellishment. I can use our ink palette. We sell this palette totally empty. And I can drip my alcohol inks in here and let them dry. So in here are just dry alcohol inks. So blending solution is to alcohol ink what water is to watercolor. So I can go in with my pen, I can go into any of these dry colors, pick that right up, and now I have the ability to colorize with alcohol, and I can get instant gradation and instant shading with the pen. And the pen itself, of course, because it's blending solution will blend, lighten, and remove alcohol ink. So it's really a self-cleaning pen. We'll always go back to clear. So you don't have to worry about switching out nibs, you don't have to worry about any of that. And because these are dry, it also gives the ability to pick up other colors to create custom colors.
So do you just drop a couple drops
It's
in
2
there?
drops in there, that's it.
2 drops.
2 drops, and then it will just completely dry up in about 3 minutes, and you're ready to go. Yeah.
And the more you color, the lighter it gets.
Right, because of the blending solution is just going to lighten that color. So if you want to create shading, you can. But what's really nice is, let's say you had a charm or you had an accent like a Brad or like a mirrored star. You, instead of getting out your inks and putting it on the tool and dripping it on, you can just say, oh, let me take this. Like, I use this more in my studio than I do these. I use the bottle strictly for backgrounds. If I'm doing backgrounds or big projects, I'll use this. But if I want to quickly ink something, most people, they don't want to get out their alcohol inks and their tool and drip it on. I've got the pen, dip it in and ready to go. And all of our labels, of course, on rangerink.com, printed out 3/4 inch circle punch. So whatever colors you put in the palette, you can stick over the top. It's nice.
Really good.
So this rebranding is now going to make sense to them.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm like, people aren't getting this pen. Like, it's key, because you cannot put blending solution in a brush like this.
No.
It'll eat right through the plastic.
And it's going to make more sense to that palette as well.
It is,
Show
yeah.
that.
The ink palette is really, that's what it's for. It's to put inks in, and that's why I wanted a hinge lid, because when you store it, it's not going to get dust and dirt and everything in it. So yeah, I think once people see this, they'll be like,
What am I getting a picture of?
ah, that's what it's for. Yeah, yeah, of course. It's like, I want to see that. It's cool. It does. So that's really what my goal was for kind of the rebranding of Alcohol Ink, is make it relevant, but also help educate people right there when they're looking at it to say, what does this do, or what can I do with it? So, you know, I listen to the people. I do. You know, I read on all the little forums and like, well, this doesn't make sense. Why am I filling my alcohol pens? I'm like, oh, no. No, it's just that. It was just that. Okay, so next we're going to talk about something really exciting. Now, this is a tool that I did not invent. This is a tool that's been around in the industry for many, many years, probably 15 plus years, but it's never been made mainstream. It's one of those things that you have to know a friend of a friend of a friend that bought it at a show back then, but they don't know where they got it. And so I wanted to bring it to the market, and this is called a distress marker spritzer, but it's really a marker spritzer for any kind of marker, okay? And what it is, it's just a handheld tool. We did make the rubber in here just a little bit softer, so it's much easier to work with. It has an intake on the back, and here's how it works. Let me grab a marker real quick. I just tend to like want to roll off my table. All right, we'll take a couple of colors. Let's put this down here. So when I want to use a marker, I'm just going to use a distress marker. I'm going to use the brush nib, and this is just going to slide right in. There's a flat top on this spritzer. The marker is going to go just past that, and it rests on that flat edge. And you want to make sure that the nib of your marker goes just past that air hole. That's all you need to do. In other words, if it's too far back, it's not going to work, and if your marker goes past it, it's not going to work. So it sits right there. Fully adjustable though. You're going to take this little screw, and you're just going to hand tighten that marker just to hold it in place. Okay, you don't need to crank anything down, just hold it. And what this is going to do is this is going to turn this now into basically a spritzer tool. So this is going to blow the ink onto the surface, not the pen. Because most people want to hold it this way because they want the pen to point. It's really about this tool, and it's quick bursts of air, and that's going to allow you to spritz your color, which is cool. So let's just say I have a stencil down. It's so easy. That's really the best part.
How come it doesn't dry the pen?
That's it. Because it's just blowing ink off of the tip of it, so it's the same as coloring with the marker. So people think, oh, it's going to use a lot more ink, it's going to dry out the nib. It doesn't. No, it's just going to spritz ink right off the top of that. Now, if you're really light-handed, it's not going to do anything. This is quick bursts of air. But if you want it intense, you're just going to make more intense squeeze on that. And that's going to create that effect. Now, what's also really great is that even though this is a distress marker spritzer, it will work with any of your markers. So it'll work with paint pens, it'll work with square markers, oval markers. So let's say you have a marker like this, you have a Copic, right? We're going to remove the screw and push this collar out of the spritzer, okay? This is going to allow us to take this, and I'm going to use you can use the bullet side or the chisel, because even people say, well, what about a chisel marker? Same thing. Just going to put that in. As long as that goes just past that opening, now I can take gloss paper and I can spritz with an alcohol marker. And of course, because it's alcohol based, it's just going to dry right away on that surface. If you wanted to take a Sharpie marker and you wanted to take Sharpie and mist onto glass or ceramic or anything like that, you can do that just the same. So you can do your gold pens, even something like a crazy little oval pen like that. It's all about having the ability and the versatility to take a tool like this. Again, you're going to lay that down. And that's what's nice about having that flat edge as well. Just take that just to tighten that, and then you can go in and just, it's crazy, isn't it? It's so easy to do. And I think, you know, what's exciting about something like this and why I was like, we need to bring this to the market is because having the ability to get another use out of something we already have, a whole nother function is really what it is. Is it going to kind of replace spray inks? No, that's not what it's about. This is about giving a different tool to create that spritzing effect, because that's what it does. It creates that great little speckled look on a surface, which I think is pretty cool. I know, it's exciting, huh?
really good.
Yeah, it's like something like this, you just say, whoo, I need that. Yeah, everybody sees it and they're like, I need that tool. And it is, it's a tool that maybe a lot of people, like you even said, like, I had one, but I think I got rid of it because I didn't know what I was doing with it. Yeah, that's the thing. So if you're gonna use, let's say, a Sharpie, and you wanted to customize a coaster or a coffee mug, you can put alphabet stickers right on the mug, spritz around it with a Sharpie to create a mask, let it dry for a second, peel them off, and then bake it, and now you have, yeah, painted mug. If you're into cake decorating, whether you do cupcakes, anything like that, put in your food markers. Put your food markers, and now you can airbrush on a cake or airbrush on the top of something like that. It's whatever you put in
That
there.
idea usually works.
This is just air.
Originally worked, we had to blow through it or something like that.
Yeah, which that was kind of gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
I thought
especially
that's what you were
especially
gonna
if you're in a
have to do.
class environment. That's just a little like, do you want to borrow this color? No, I'm good. Really? I'll stick with this one. Yeah.
Would you like the flu?
Yeah, exactly. Would you like that? Yeah, so it's really
Really easy.
it's super easy. It is. It's
So would I.
No. It's really easy to use, and what I like is that when you start to work with it, you can create that whole effect. So you're not always getting like that one kind of bullet blast. You know, you're able to really create either a speckly look if you stay far away, or you can build intensity with that, which is cool. It's fun, isn't it?
Strong enough to push something like the pylon paint, which is a little thicker.
Yeah.
It is?
Yep. This pen is about dead, but I'll still show you. Yeah, because we were working with it.
5 minutes to
Okay.
wrap up and then move to the next meeting.
All right, we only have 5 minutes right now? Good gravy. Okay, that's all right. It's a quiet group, it's attentive. Okay, it's nice, huh? I know, you're telling me.
Still waking up.
You're telling me, really?
Buy one, sell more
Yeah.
product.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there, if I just get paint in the pen like normal, and then we can put this on there. So same thing, you're just gonna rest the nib on there. Now, when I do use a paint marker, what I wanna make sure is that when I go to use this, I wanna wipe this off when I'm done, because I have paint on the tip. But same thing here,
Oh, yay.
easy. So basically you've created spray paint.
Metallic paint.
Wow.
Yeah, anything. I mean, so you can spray paint shoes, a bag. I mean, yeah, it just, to me, it opens up the entire possibilities of what you can do. Like, here's a great one for Christmas time. Snow. Yeah, because remember, we have a white marker. Oh, see? It's ridiculous. All right. So remember with picket fence, when you spray it on, you won't see it at first. It will appear.
Oh, look.
There you go. And then as soon as this goes like to true color, you can see it.
So, and you could lighten up another color by doing that, right?
Absolutely. So if you had a color down and you didn't want that color, you could easily go in and you could layer that over another color or another color over that. But just keep in mind, like when you want white, I mean, there is a white distress marker that's going to give you, and the more you spray it on, you just have to wait for picket fence, and that's what you have. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Excellent. So, any questions from anyone on some of the new stuff? It's cool, right? It's just, it's fun new stuff. Which stuff? Oh, see, yeah, that's the important people. Yeah, if it's a creative question I've got, if it has to do with sales, oh, of course, you can have a go at it. No, it's really fun. The thing that you just have to get the hang of is that the ink is coming from the tool. Most people want to like do that, and you're basically shooting ink over there. So this is about having the marker away from you. There you go. And so the quicker you blast, see? And then the further away you get, you'll create more of a speckle. See that? Yeah, so you have total control over it. It's really easy. Yeah, because like I was explaining even to Diane, because she was like, well, how am I going to work with mine? I'm like, so let's say you had a big stencil and you did ink spray through it or you painted it. You can just put another color and just mist on the side as like a little highlight. Something that you can't really control with a full-fledged ink spray. Yeah. But I love the ability to have all these different types of markers. So depending on what your surface is, you're just changing out the kind of marker. So if you're going to watercolor, use a water-based marker. If you want something a little bit more permanent, you could use, a solvent-based or even a paint marker. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, fun new stuff. It's just new ways to use things that we have. think that's the whole creative process, is just to kind of keep things going and keep things inspired. So that's why I'm like, this has to come back to the market.
Yeah,
It
very
does.
good.
Yeah, because how many people have never seen it before, and it's been
Me.
around forever. So it's exciting.
Yeah,
Yep.
very cool.